Okay, so now we're being recorded. My name's Irene Pasternak. This is the third in our series of classes through Northwest Parkinson's Foundation. I know that we have a bunch of new people today, so I just want to start from the beginning. And the first is, welcome to a delightful class that helps you move more easily and more comfortably. The Feldenkrais method that we're using is a very different approach to learning how to move easier. It isn't exercise. It is training your brain to learn how to move more symmetrically, more comfortably, more easily. And as such, the goal is to do everything small, gentle, and comfortably, because we don't learn very well if we're scared or if we're anxious. So know that if something feels a little uncomfortable for you as you try to do it smaller, do it slower, do it gentler. And you'll find you get more results from that than by doing big movements. So we're going to work today on balance. And in order to do that, we need to do something at the beginning to get a sense of how your balance is now. So I'd like you to shift your weight over to one sit bone and then come back to the middle. And do that a few times. Every time I ask for a movement, do it several times to feel, first, how did you know that that was the right side to go to first? We all have a side that we like to go to, and which is your side that, yeah, going over to that side, I feel secure there. Okay. And how does your brain tell you that's far enough? Like if you went further to the side, how do you know that you're not going to fall over?
I have a question.
Yeah.
For me, I have so much curvature of the spine and rotation that I don't like going to the side, but that's the side that it's a lot harder for me to, go the other way. So it's easier, but more painful, and my hip slips.
So at this point, do the movement a little smaller. Maybe don't go quite as far over to the side.
Okay, but still go to the side.
Say it again.
Still go to the side that is curved.
Yeah, just go slowly and gently. And then we're going to go to the other side and see what feels different about this second side. And do you use the same strategy to get from one side to the other? So one strategy I see, and I see a couple different strategies when I look at people. One strategy is you're using your spine as a stick and you're tipping and your head goes further than your shoulders. So do a little experimenting, taking your head a little further than your shoulders. And you can feel as you do that, you don't want to go too far, because if you do, plop, you fall off. Try that a little on the other side. Good, and then rest in the middle for a moment. Forgot my props. Okay, so there you were doing the stick, and the stick was tipping one way and tipping the other way. And now we're going to do something different, which is to do it with a curve in your side so that your head stays in the middle and your ribs move further over to the side. That was the other strategy I saw some people using. So that's a counterbalance strategy of your head is going one way and your torso is going the other way. And that way has a little bit of a feel, that you're not going to fall over. So we're gonna be playing with exploring that one during the class. Okay. Just a sec. And Mira, could I text you a number to call for somebody to help? Just a sec. There we go. Excuse me. 2, 6. Oops. Sorry.
Are you sending it to me on the group chat, Irene?
I am, but just having a phone moment of getting the numbers.
Sure.
There you go. Okay. Okay, so now I want you to look up at the ceiling for a moment and look down at the floor and come back to the front. When we move our head, we have a choice of using the short stick. So if you think of your head as a lollipop with a short stick, you can bend just your neck and look up and down. Everybody try that. That's okay. Or you can use the long stick from your neck down to your sit bones. So your whole spine, in order to look down, can round. And if you imagine somebody's pulling on your pants in the back and your belt loop, it pulls your belly down so you can look down. And then to look up, tip forward on your hip joints and arch your back to look at the ceiling. And try that a few times. That arching and rounding. Okay, good. And do you see a little bit more when you use the long stick? Like it's a little easier to see the floor as you roll your pelvis backward, and then as you roll your pelvis forward, you can look up. Now for a moment on your sit bones, tip a little backward in your chair, using your spine as a straight stick. So you tip forward and you tip backwards. Good. And then go back to doing the curve where you pull your belly in as you look down and you push your belly out as you look up. Jordan, could I send somebody your way? Thank you, Jordan. Okay, so when we move side to side, play with those two methods of the straight spine moving side to side, and then the curved spine moving side to side. I like to imagine I'm a piece of kelp in the ocean and just being bent side to side. Good. And then tip forward and back using the straight spine. And then using the curved spine. Okay. And I'm watching people, and it looks like the curved spine and that side to side is a little bit more challenging than the in the forward and backward direction. So we're going to play with that a little bit. If it's comfortable, take both hands above your head, and you can hold one wrist with the other. Doesn't matter which side. And when you're holding your wrist, point with your other index finger and pull a little bit that way. Just a gentle pull. And you feel that these ribs in your armpit are beginning to expand a little bit. And notice when you do this, where's your weight? Which sit bone do you have more weight on? And rest for a moment. If getting your arms up over your head's uncomfortable, you could put them on your shoulders or imagine doing this. But I want you to experiment now. When you put your hand up there and you pull, sometimes put your weight on your right sit bone and sometimes put your weight on your left sit bone. And then rest for a moment. I got a great question from Laura in the chat. She asks, is there a right method? And the answer is that there isn't a right method moment. And don't worry about it, Mira. So this way of teaching us is a way of teaching experimentation. So you can go, is it going to work better if my weight's on my right sit bone or my left sit bone? And then there have to be criteria of how do we decide what feels right to us in the moment. And what feels right to us in the moment is, well, let me unmute people for, well, I'm going to have you unmute yourself. What are some criteria that you think of that if I'm doing it that way, it means it's easier for me? Well, Cindy, what makes it easier for you?
It's my body wants to go to the right, but it's more painful. It's like hard to separate. I think about where my hips are aligned, and I try to get my alignment straight first.
Okay, so some of it is thinking about the alignment. Some of it is thinking about pain and avoiding pain.
I'm working so hard not to go that way, and so it feels like it's, detrimental, but it's like the wrong way to be going.
This is Laura. I have absolutely no idea what the criteria is, which is why I asked the question, knowing that the answer would be, kind of whatever you feel like.
All right, let me give you some ideas of criteria. One criteria is, am I going to fall off my chair?
Right.
And if you put your weight on one sit bone and you pull, see if you can figure out which sit bone is going to make you fall off your chair easier than the other one. So just pull your arms in one direction and try that you can pull your arms in that one direction and sometimes put your weight on one sit bone and sometimes put it on the other one. Okay. So typically, if you put your weight on the sit bone that's the way you're going, you're using your spine as a stick, and your head and all this mass of your upper body get over to the side, and if you keep going, you're going to end up on the floor. But if you can keep your weight on the same side sit bone that the side you're pulling, so I'm pulling with my right hand, and if I put my weight on my right sit bone, I can pull and pull and pull, and I'm never going to fall off the chair. And it's this movement of a little bit of a curve in your spine that counterbalances you so that you don't fall. This lesson that we're working on today is like the most important one for fall prevention, because when we start thinking about our spine as a stick, that's when we fall over backwards, when we trip and fall forward or sideways. So the ability to round is what we're playing with. And we're going to keep playing with ideas to make this easier. So imagine for a moment that before class, somebody snuck into your room there and they put some money on your chair, and your right side is sitting on that money. And you can lift up that corner of your bottom so that you could reach with your hand and pull the money out from underneath you. You want to see what's there. Is it a 20 or 50, 100? How much money's under there? And feel how your ribs do that little bit of curving in order to do that. For many of us, as we age, this is a movement that we forget that is part of the human body, that the ribs have this ability to expand and contract sideways.
I feel like when I do that, my ribs are going the wrong way. Like if I pull to the right, I feel like they're going the opposite way. They should.
So when you have one of those feelings where, they're going the opposite, invite them to just have the possibility of going the opposite way, that whatever you're doing. Because if you can make them go either way, then you have a choice. Let's take your hands and put your hands on your rib cage, right under your arms, on that side part of your ribs. Yeah. And let's all do the same side. On your right side, take your fingers and encourage those ribs right there to squeeze together. And the ribs on the left side will have to expand a little bit. So you could think if you were an accordion, you're squeezing the right side of your accordion and the left side is expanding. Good. And then let's squeeze on the other side. And notice one side of you is probably harder to squeeze. Who here eats ribs? Anybody like a nice rack of ribs? The reason ribs are so delicious is that there are muscles in between each one of the ribs. And that meat that we eat when we eat ribs, those are the muscles we're trying to talk to in ourselves, are those intercostal muscles between the rib cage. And let's add a little bit, sometimes when emotion, because I'm seeing some people really finding this motion challenging, we're going to work on something else and come back to it. So find your sternum. You can tap it a little bit to wake it up. It starts right up here at the notch in your neck, and it goes down to where your ribs come up. You can find the bottom of it there. And experiment, turn your sternum to the right a little bit. Good. And then turn your sternum to the left. You can use your fingers to help it. Whichever side was easier, use your fingers to push and pull your sternum to the side. Good. And then notice when you do that, when you pull your sternum to the side, does your weight shift onto that sit bone a little bit? So for me, my left side's easier. I'm pulling my sternum left and my weight goes over my left sit bone a little bit. And then take your sternum and go to the other side. And let your weight shift to the side that you're pulling and turning your sternum toward. Okay, good. Rest for a moment. We're going to do one more piece and then come back to the ribs on the side. I'd like everybody to open your mouth as far as your mouth comfortably opens. And close it. Try that a few times. And then open it just a little bit and take your jaw left and right. Good. Now take your hands, put your fingers on your chin and your elbows as together as they go on your chest, and open your mouth. And we've immobilized our chin, so it's the rest of your skull is opening away from your chin. Open and close. Good. Put your arms down. And let's look up again like we were doing in the beginning, where you push your belly forward and open your, this time, and look up and open your mouth. And as you come down and you round your back and pull your belly in, purse your lips. So as you arch and look up, you open your mouth as big as you can. And as you round and look down, you squeeze your mouth. You might find the other end, your bottom squeezes a little bit as you look down. And as you look up, your sit bones spread apart a little bit underneath you. Yeah, good. Good, good, good. And now take your jaw a little left and right again. So you open your mouth and it goes a little left and a little right. And notice if your eyeballs are doing the same thing. And then close your mouth and take just your eyeballs left and right. And see if your jaw moves just a little bit as you move your eyeballs left and right. And see if you can move your eyes opposite your jaw. Those little gentle movements of the jaw. Good, good, good. Okay. And now put your hands on your ribs again. And try squeezing the lower ribs on one side. It'll make your head tip a little. And then squeeze the ribs on the other side a little bit. Just go back and forth, squeezing one side and then squeezing the other. Does it feel a little easier to do this movement? Sometimes our eyes and our jaw can lock up movements in the rest of ourself. Okay. Let's go back to a movement we were doing earlier where you hold your wrist and whichever side you put your weight on, so you put your weight on one side and then pull that arm to lengthen the ribs on that side of your body. So the ribs on your other side get short and the ribs that you're pulling get all stretched. Good. And then try it the other way. So now I'm squeezing the ribs on the other side and stretching the ribs under the armpit. Good, and do it several times where you shift your weight so your bottom moves in the chair. And it's like I'm making this giant C shape with my body. Okay, good. And bring your arms down to your lap, rest for a moment. Now, your arms can hang by your sides, and let one arm begin to slide down as if you wanted to touch the ground with it. Just the direction of the ground. You don't have to think of going so low. And feel how your head tilts as you do that. Just go down low enough that you can come back. This is that same kind of motion where under the arm that's going down, those ribs compress and the other ribs lengthen. You can take the other hand up to the ceiling like you're raising your hand in class, and one arm goes down and one arm comes up. So if you had a rubber band between your hands, you'd be stretching that rubber band. Good. Okay. And then let's go to the other side and stretch the rubber band. One hand goes to the floor, one goes to the ceiling. All right. And come back and rest for a moment. All right, so are your sit bones talking to you? Everybody's on a flat chair so you can feel those sit bones. I want you to put all your weight on your left sit bone. And put both hands on your left knee. And in this twisted position, look down, so pull your belly in and your weight will shift back to the other sit bone. And then push your belly out and look up, and your weight will shift onto the side sit bone. And go back and forth like that a few times. Okay, good. Can you feel your ribs as you do that the ribs expand and contract? Let's now, on the same side, imagine that there's a delicious ice cream cone out there, and you want to go and you want to lick that ice cream cone. You want to reach with your tongue, and the ice cream is way out there, right over your knee, and you're trying to reach that ice cream. Good. Rest for a moment. And now turn your sternum over your other leg. Put your hands on your, just above your knee. And now it's a different flavor of ice cream that's over there in front of your knee. And you're reaching for it. You want to smell it. You want to taste it. And then round your back and look down. Push your belly out as you come forward. Round it and look down. Okay. So walking is this movement of putting your weight on one sit bone and going forward over it. And then you pull your belly back and you draw a line with your sit bones on the chair, and you come forward and arch over the other leg. So you go over one side, I've got chocolate on one side, I come back in the middle, and then I'm going to go for the vanilla over here. And feel your bottom moving in your chair. Your sit bones talk to the bottom of the chair, and they help you get from one side to the other.
I have a question about walking. I'm always trying to figure out, like, do your bones just go like that, or they go to the sides at all?
So I'm just going to mute you again, Cindy. The question was, when you're walking, do you go to the side or does everything face forward? When we're walking efficiently, there's a motion where, I got to back up a little bit more. As I step onto the foot, I turn my belly and my sternum over the foot, and that is what gives us really good balance. And then the back leg is light enough it can lift up. So the leg has to come forward, and then there's that turn. So I have the ice cream when I'm over one leg, and then I have the ice cream when I'm over the other leg. And those are the motions that we're working on making easier today. So now we're going to try something going back to the first motions in the beginning, where we have our body as a stick, and make a little circle around your bottom. Okay. And then switch it to being a circle that has this curve in it. So you're thinking about your ribs going in a little circle. You can put your hands on your ribs. It can help you find this circle. Go the other way. And there's a part of the circle where your belly pushes out, and then your belly pulls in as you go back. And it's this alternating out and in of the belly and the side and side. And I'm going to give you some homework to play with at the end, but to try that in standing, where you hold on to a chair and take your, and we'll do this more on Thursday in our class, is taking the movements from today into standing. But we're building your repertoire of being able to move your sternum one way and the other, because that's what's necessary to get your weight on each foot. But the sternum can't move without the ribs moving underneath. So we're just changing the map of yourself so that when you're thinking about your body, you realize, I have ribs in the front. Everybody find your ribs way up high in the front, way down at the bottom, and compress and expand. Yeah, good. And then ribs on one side that compress and expand. And the other side. And the more comfortable that you get moving your ribs, the more your map of your brain is that I have these ribs that attach to my sternum and my spine. That's what's going to get your balance to feel more stable. And now just notice how you're sitting and see if you're feeling a little bit more stable than you were before. A little bit more symmetrically upright in your sitting. If your feet feel a little calmer on the ground. Each of these classes, we're going to work on these incremental little changes that will build by the end of the month to a feeling of, I understand how walking works. I know how I can move in a way to feel stable. So I'm curious, I think what I'm going to do now is break out into breakout groups. So divide you into groups of 4 people. You'll need to click a button on your screen when it says time to join the group. I'm going to give you 5 minutes in the breakout groups and introduce yourself. Share anything that you've learned from today's class or one of the other classes, and just talk a little bit about, are you in quarantine by yourself? Do you have company where you are? Where do you live? Just chat for a few minutes to get to know each other. And then I'll bring us all back for just a final conclusion at the end. So I'm starting the breakout rooms. 32. Okay, so you should be getting a prompt to join your breakout room. So Marcia and Walt, you go ahead and join your breakout room. And Greg.
kept getting logged out.
I'm glad you're back in. People will be rejoining us over the next minute.
I had no idea how far away people were. This is amazing. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, we really have people from all over the country. Is there anybody who is from outside the country who was in your group? Northwest Parkinson's has a long reach. And many of you have sent email to friends going, oh, I think this class would be good for you. Join in. And so we've got people from all over. Okay.
What is the capacity for participants?
We can have up to 99 participants. Yeah, we had 50 last Thursday, and it came up with a big group. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a lot of people to check.
It gets easier now that most of you have figured out how to use Zoom. That was the hardest part last week, is just getting everybody comfortable making the connection. And
I'm going to be starting a group, and I don't know how many people you see on the screen at one time.
you can see right now I see 525 on the screen at once.
Oh wow!
And so you can go between screens.
Mm.
I don't know if you've explored up in the upper right corner, there's a thing that says speaker view and gallery view, and you can go back and forth between those for when you want to see the teacher or when you want to see other people.
I don't get everyone. I just get 3 at a time, and then I have to keep scrolling.
Okay, yeah, I guess it just might depend on the size of your screen and your window.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or if you're using a cell phone versus using a.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody want to share what they noticed feels different after today's lesson? Just unmute yourself and speak up. Anyone feel a little solider on their feet or on their sit bones?
I feel with Parkinson's, I have a disconnect between the parts of my body. Like my head moves, and it's like one of those anatomy dolls. I don't connect moving my sternum with my hips or my head. It's like they move separately. They freeze, and like my legs will move, but nothing else does. I guess it's the stiffness.
Getting those parts of ourself, thanks Cindy, more connected is the main thing that makes a difference. And with Parkinson's, the disease itself takes away some of that connectivity, but it's relearnable. That's the good thing, is that it is learnable how to feel connected. And it's this practice of it that is what learns it. So just like with an exercise program, the more frequently you do it, the more you have this sense of connectivity in your body. And so then you don't get stuck with your legs wanting to move and the rest of you not coming along with it. Yeah.
I would say it's like 10 years, the last 5 years, 10 to 15 years, it's been worse. And if I will lose it in a day. I'll forget it in a day.
So it's something to play with, to practice, and you can practice this from today's lesson of making a big circle. You know those old-fashioned drills that there's a handle and then a part that goes around the middle, like an old hand drill? If you think of your body as one of those hand drills and your ribs are going around in that circle, you can feel how your feet help you, your sit bones help you, your head helps you. But the top and the bottom can't move unless that middle part has the mobility. And so that's where our focus is on that mobility in the middle. All righty. Any last questions or thoughts?
Yes, this is not related to your class, Irene, but just if you're looking for some amusement with the Parkinson community, I put an announcement there that the World Parkinson's Coalition is having a sing-along, not tomorrow, but Thursday. And just Google Magic Trick Parkinson's and you will find more information.
I'm curious about that. We're having my family Seder tomorrow night online, and when we've been playing with can we sing together using Zoom, it doesn't work very well. And so I'm curious what technique they're using to
Well,
do it.
it's supposed to be 500 people globally, so
That sounds really cool.
very cool.
I was thinking that maybe in participants, when you go down to there and you click on it and then it says more or something like that, you can go to whether all participants can talk at the same, or maybe that's near the microphone. All participants can talk at the same time versus talk one at a time. Maybe that helps with the music, being able to sing.
Yeah, there's just this little bit of delay when you do an online meeting that anyway, they'll figure it out because they're doing it. All right. So come again. No, sometimes this way of moving and thinking about your body and thinking about different parts of your body is unfamiliar to us. And take advantage of this wonderful program that NWPF is putting on, and you'll find by the end of the month you've really made a bump up in your ability to walk, ability to balance, and your comfort. So I look forward to seeing you again on Thursday or next week, and have a good rest of your day. Good luck with your creativity and finding fun things to spend the time doing. And that would actually be fun. In the next session, I'm gonna ask people to share, yeah, what's one thing that you do that really is fun while you're in this at-home time. So see you all next week.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.